Welcome to the Town of Vesuvius regular open meeting of council, January the 10th, 2023 at 2 p.m. in council chambers. So first off, we will, do we have any late items, Mrs. Hilton? No, we do not. Thank you. So could we please have the approval of the agenda as printed? Thank you, Councillor John, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you. And the adoption of some minutes, that would be the regular open minutes from December 13th, 2022. We have a motion for that. Councillor Poderica, Councillor Bennett, all in favor. Thank you. And we will move down to water matters. That's slide page 15. And financial plan, not water matters, but is it what is water matters? It says at the heading. But I'm assuming 5-year financial plan, and that would be Mr. Zackel. Are you on there? What is the name?
Yes.
Okay.
I just go.
Can you get Mr. Zackel on again?
There.
Just there. Oh, there he is.
Okay.
Good.
Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. So before council is a 5-year financial plan bylaw 1381-2022. And a recommendation before council is that the 5-year financial plan 1381-2022 be adopted. CAO's comments were approved for council consideration. The executive summary. Section 165 of the Community Charter requires municipalities to prepare a financial plan for a period of 5 years, which is adopted annually by bylaw. The Charter also requires council to undertake a process of public consultation regarding the proposed financial plan before it's adopted. The 5-year financial plan bylaw 1381-2022 was read a first, second, and third time at the December 13th regular meeting of council and is now before council for adoption. The budget package was made available on November 22nd, and advertisements went out in the Times Chronicle on November 24th and December 1st on the town's website and on e-news, and was published inviting the public to provide input into the budget. A special open meeting of council was held on December 6th to receive public input on the 5-year financial plan and operating budget, and on December 7th, council held a special open meeting to review the budget documents and 5-year financial plan, and made several resolutions that staff have incorporated into the budget document and 5-year financial plan bylaw 1381. This includes an overall increase to an average single-family residence valued at $631,900 for 2022, the 2022 tax year, of $23.60 a month, or $283.29 for taxes and utility fees. Taxation increases were for municipal $89.22, with $44.61 of that going into a general sustainability fund, police $9.99, fire protection $30.32. Utility increases, garbage and recycling $10.52, sewer $77.78, with $40 going into the sewer sustainability fund, and water $65.46, with $30 going into the water sustainability fund. So options that 5-year financial plan number 1381-2022 be adopted. Option 2, that council direct staff to make changes to the 5-year financial plan bylaw 1381-2022 and bring changes to the next regular open meeting. Implications under community: a significant amount of capital projects are planned for 2023 that will enhance the community and improve the infrastructure of the town and rural service areas. Under budget, user fees for garbage, water, sewer have increased to combined $153.76 for a single-family residence. Municipal, police, and fire protection taxes have increased by $129.53 to an average single-family residence valued at $631,900 for the 2022 tax year. A total increase of $283.29, with $114.61 of that going towards the sustainability funds. So significant dates, financial plan bylaw needs to be adopted no later than May 15th, 2023. And under sustainability, working to ensuring maintaining service levels of service for the community and establish a sustainability fund to assist future infrastructure replacements and upgrades. And at this time, I'll pass it back to council for their consideration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zackel. Council, does anyone have questions or concerns? Go ahead, Councillor Bennett.
I would move option 1.
Moving option 1. Thank you very much. Are there any other concerns about this? And can I just ask Mrs. Hilton, do water councillors vote on this as well? Okay, so both of you can vote on this. All right, if there's no other concerns or questions, all in favor of option 1? Thank you very much. That's carried. Thank you, Mr. Zackel. That was easy. He's done all the work well beforehand, so this is an easy one for him. Thank you very much. And we'll now look at staff reports, the COVID restart fund, and this is you as well, Mr. Zackel.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. So this one's a report for COVID restart grant, and 3 recommendations being brought forward to council. Options 1 is that council authorize use of COVID restart grant funds in the amount of $373,154 to offset previously incurred costs for the 2022 net employee sick time, Sonora front office renovation, computer upgrades, and rapid response vehicle for the fire department. Option 2 as well, that council authorize the use of COVID restart grant funds in the amount of $37,918 to offset the costs of the floor scrubber and parks upgrade projects included in the 2023 to 2027 financial plan. And option 3, to utilize the remaining funds of $91,572 towards the 2023 net employee sick time, air purification units for municipal facilities, and Sonora Community Center accessibility for automatic taps and flushers. So CAO's comments were approved for council consideration. And the executive summary, the COVID restart grant was funded jointly from the federal provincial governments. The town of Osoyoos received was $1,539,000. These funds were to be used to assist with the following categories: addressing revenue shortfalls, facility reopening and operating costs, emergency planning and response costs, bylaw enforcement and protective services like fire protection and police, computer and other electronic technology costs to improve interconnectivity and virtual communications, services for vulnerable persons, e.g. Persons living with disabilities, mental illness or addictions, persons experiencing homelessness or vulnerabilities, and other related costs incurred from COVID. The organization, okay, that was that. This grant was recorded as revenue in 2020, and the unused balance will be allocated as a reserve account. The requirement from the province is that the funds be utilized from the COVID restart grants needed and be reported on annually. The COVID remains active, but services and activities are returning to normal. Discussion is required on how to utilize the remaining funding. COVID restart grant received in 2020 was $1,539,000, with $502,644 being unallocated at this point. Administration has been reviewing the capital and operating budgets and determining what areas of money would be allowed to be spent on, and would include the following. So the recommended distribution for expenses already incurred is the 2022 net employee sick time, $127,168. Sonora front office renovation of $23,947, which was completed in 2022. Computer upgrades of $93,639, which is completed in 2022. And a rapid response vehicle, which is completed in 2022 for $128,400. And that balance is $373,154. If funding is fully allocated to these items referenced above, there is $129,490 yet to distribute. Potential items from the 2023 to 2027 financial plan include the floor scrubber of $15,000, which is budgeted in 2023, Parks washroom upgrades of $22,918, also budgeted for in 2023 for a total of $37,918. Potential items for projects not budgeted, but would be an allowable use of the funds would include the 2023 net employee sick time, air purification units for municipal facilities, Sonora Center automatic taps and flushers, a four-season washroom at Pioneer Walkway. For funds recovered in 21 to 22, the amount would be put into surplus for 2022. Any items funded that are included in the 2023 to 2027 financial plan would require a financial plan amendment with the source of funding showing COVID restart grant funding. These transactions would increase the town's reserves. Any projects that are not or that are to be funded that were not included in the 2023 to 2027 financial plan would also require a financial plan amendment. So options before council, all three have been recommended. Option one is to authorize the use of COVID restart grant funds in the amount of $373,154 to offset the previously incurred costs in 2022 for the net employee sick time, Sonora front office renovation, computer upgrades, and rapid response vehicle. Option two, to authorize the use of COVID restart grant funds in the amount of $37,918 to offset the cost for the floor scrubber and parks upgrade projects included in the 2023 to 2027 financial plan. And option three, to utilize the remaining funds of $91,572 towards the 2023 net employee sick time, air purification units for the municipal facilities, and Sonora Center accessibility automatic taps and flushers. Implications under budget: utilization of the COVID restart funds assists with the funding of town expenditures that are impacted due to COVID. Significant dates: reporting of expenditures is to be done annually on the financial statements. And sustainability lessens the impact of having to utilize town funds where items that were funded from COVID restart grant funding. And at this time, I'll pass it back to council.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zackel. The only thing that I have to ask on is the potential items, four-season washroom at Pioneer Walkway, you've included in there, but we really haven't got the money to do that. Did you just, because council mentioned that they'd like to have that on the 4-year plan, is that why you put it in there?
I put it in there because a component of it would be eligible, but you are correct. We don't have the other remaining funding at this time to fund that project. So what I'm recommending and what through the management group we're recommending is we've got 3 projects where we could utilize those funds to improve. One of them recovers funds and it goes back into our reserves because of the sick time. Air purification units in the Sonora Center automatic tap and flushers are safety improvements that we can do to our facilities right away and have them funded through the COVID restart monies.
Thank you. And I had one other question. Are we required to, at this point, use up all of the COVID restart monies? Because, and the reason I ask that is because regional districts did have a timeline on there, and I wasn't sure whether municipalities did. Do we have to use it all, or could we save it? I wasn't sure.
They had stressed that this get utilized. They didn't give us a definitive date, but they did say that we had to report on our expenditures. My concern is if we don't spend this money, at some point in time, they may be requesting it back. So by utilizing it to cover some of our existing costs, future costs, we're basically saving some of our operating reserve funds that can be utilized for a future project down the road.
Thank you very much. I understand that. Did anybody have any? Go ahead, Councillor King.
Yeah, we had just over $500,000 in the fund right now.
That's correct. $502,644.
Did you have a question? No. Raise your hand up. Okay, so what do you think, everybody? Go ahead, Councillor
I'll
King.
move option 1.
That we use it, that's the first part.
Yeah.
That we use it, the 373,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a seconder for that one. Thank you. Councilor Puerto Rico seconded that. And we have to vote on all of these individually, do we, Mrs. Wilson? Yeah, okay. So, could we, and is this just council, not?
Just council.
Not one council. Okay. Could, it's been moved and seconded that we spend 373,000 in option one, all in favor? Thank you. That's carried. Councilor King,
I'll move option two.
all right, that we used 37,918 for the Boyle River. Can you loan that out, and make some extra money on that? Maybe we could, and parks upgrade projects. So that's for 37,900. So it's been moved, seconded, Councillor Chong. All in favor? Thank you. And how about option three?
I'll move it.
All right, that we use the 91,572 towards sick time, air purification, and Sonora Center accessibility automatic taps. So there's a seconder. Thank you, Councilor Puerto Rico. All in favor? Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Zappel.
Okay, thank you, council.
Okay. And so our next item is Ms. McKay at the Suez Airport Development Committee.
Thank you, Mayor Laporta, to the chair and the rest of council. So I'm basically here on behalf of the Suez Airport Development Committee, requesting a resolution in support of a change to the, pardon me, the scope of work is outlined in the Community Economic Recovery Infrastructure Program, which we'll just call SERP. Thank you. So basically, as you know, the Suez Airport Development Society was successful in obtaining a grant from the province for a number of improvements at the town of Suez airstrip. And then you'll also recall that it was discussed at council with presentation from members of ODES that the society basically has completed most of the work at the airports, and then the final project was for the fueling station. And a request for quotations was sent out, and all the bids came in over the expected cost. And so now the society is requesting that council support a proposed change to the scope of work by deleting the fueling tanks and adding additional tie downs. And just as a point of information, should we want to move forward with the fueling tanks in the future, would require extensive internal consultation with the leadership team around what that might look like. So the Suez Airport Development Committee met on January 3rd to discuss the SERP funding grant and any future visions for the airport lands. And at this time, again, the committee is keen to complete the work supported by the SERP grant, and of course, they are also required to do so by the spring of 2023. So I just want to note also that the Suez Airport Development Society will be coming forward to council in the near future to discuss the future vision for the airport lands, which may include short, medium, and long-term goals. So the options before council are that, first off, that you resolve to support the proposed changes to the scope of work as outlined in the funding grant, to allow for a change for fueling tank to additional tie downs, or option two, that you don't support it. And of course, we're recommending option number one. Implications for the community are, of course, community does benefit from improvements at the airstrip for commercial and non-commercial uses. Suez Airport Development Society is responsible for all aspects of the SERP grant. There are no impacts to the budget, the town's budget at this time. The grant again stipulates that all works must be completed by March 31st. And of course, encouraging improvements to existing facilities and providing alternative access modes to the community is, of course, supported in the town's OCP. So thank you, Mayor Laporta.
Thank you. Ms. McKay. That it seems to me when I read this, I thought it made sense because I felt that, and I don't know whether it is correct or not, that if you were to have fuel tanks there, it would require a great deal of extra safety equipment and having the fire department and so on get involved. Am I correct? Or is that partly why it was more expensive than anticipated?
Well, thank you, Mayor Laporta. It was more expensive than was originally anticipated for a number of different reasons. One of them being just the cost of everything has gone up over the time that the cost estimate was prepared. And also, the cost estimate was done by persons that aren't necessarily, don't have a lot of experience in that field. So that's why it was a request for quotations, because we also wanted to understand what the operational costs would be of that infrastructure if it was implemented at the airstrip. And so there are a number of hurdles to get over. And to your point about safety, absolutely, we would have to involve, of course, the Town of Sue's Fire Department and other members of our team to look at, what that might entail to have fueling up there. The size of the fueling station has a great deal to do with what kind of safety equipment is there. And I noticed that Councillor Padarica is nodding yes. I think he has some experience in this area with fire department, and also he's a member of the committee too.
Yes.
So I'm not sure if he has any comments, but that's my understanding of it.
Thank you very much. Did you have anything to add? Dr. Florida? Or is-
Briefly, very short term. Thank you. To go to the case point, yes, so we have obviously the costs did exceed the original quote. There is some opportunity there for the tie downs to enhance the number of tie downs that were originally proposed. To take advantage of the grant funding while it's still available before down the 31st.
Sure.
Those
Yeah.
tie downs were scheduled to be done before the end of the year until the weather hits, so they're hoping to install with what has currently been proposed. Before March 31st, so.
Councillor King?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple of questions. About how much money is left, Washington?
$150,000, I believe it is.
They proposed to put some tie downs already. So I presume they have enough area to add more?
Yes, it's a very good question, and yes, they do. Thank you, Councillor King, for the check. Yeah, so they're prepared for that, definitely. Because there's site improvements, or there are site improvements that have to take place. You don't just go up and install the tie downs. So, it does have some obvious added costs that we might not normally think of.
Oh, it's like there's been 2 planes up there for the last month.
Yeah.
We're snowed in. No, I support the idea.
Great, is there someone like to make a motion on this issue? Councillor King?
Option one.
Move the recommended option 1, okay. Also, seconding that, Councillor John. If there's no other questions, all in favor? Thank you very much, that's carried. Okay, move on to East Side Boundary Extension. Mrs. Hill.
Thank you, Mayor Reporter. So in February 2021, the town received the request from the Soyuz Rose Estate Winery to annex their property to the town of Soyuz. We also received verbal requests from other property owners to join the town. Administration had brought a report to the May 25th regular open council meeting where council passed the following resolution. So the province then notified administration that the town could not proceed with the boundary extension of the 4 parcels because 2 of the 4 parcels were located within the Sue's irrigation district. So then the council passed a following resolution at the October 11th in camera council meeting to move forward with the side boundary extension proposal by removing the 2 properties that had were located within the Sue's irrigation district. So the rationale for the proposed extension relates to that the 2 properties are meeting the technical criteria that has been established by the Ministry of Municipal Affairs. The properties are contiguous to the town's boundaries, and the roads and road right-of-ways provide access to the town's extension area, and the property owners have petitioned to be included within our boundaries. The properties do benefit from receiving the following user fees or taxable services: fire protection, recreation services, access to the sanitary landfill, and sanitary. Inclusion to the town boundaries will enable these properties to receive water and sewer from the town. Moving forward, the 2 statutory requirements for the boundary expansion to proceed are as follows: public notice of the proposed expansion published once in the BC Gazette. Approval of the electorate is a precondition of the municipal council requesting the boundary exchange. So approval of the electors can be obtained by the alternative approval process or AAP, by referendum. Most communities use the AAP process for minor boundary extensions because it takes less time and costs far less than a referendum. So section 86 of the community charter requires the town to publish notice of the AAP in accordance with section 94, which is public notice of the community charter. The notice of the AAP will be posted on the public notice posting place at Town Hall, and an advertisement will be placed in the Times Chronicle for 2 consecutive weeks. In order to be successful in obtaining elector approval via AAP, less than 10% of electors of the town must petition the town not to proceed. If more than 10% of the electors petition the town against proceeding, and if the town would still like to advance the proposal, it must seek approval of the electors by referendum. Owners of the property proposing to be annexed do not get to vote on the matter in either process, but their views of the matter are sought and provided to the province as part of the boundary extension process. The number of electors that have been determined is 4,769, and this was taken from the recent estimate from Civic Info BC, which we used for the 2022 general local elections. Section 86.3 of the community charter describes the manner that the elector response form can be designed. The elector response form can be designed to allow for one single elector or multiple elector response forms. Administration is recommending that council move forward with the multiple elector response form. Section 86.3b, 2 of the community charter also requires that the elector response form be available to the public at the municipal hall from the first time of publication until the deadline. So the deadline for receiving elector response forms, according to the community charter, is at least 30 days after the second publication of the notice, which would be in the Times Chronicle. The number of elector response forms to prevent council from moving forward with the proposed boundary expansion would be 477. If this number is met or the number of forms exceed 477, council would then have to move forward with a referendum if they wish to move forward with the boundary expansion. Attached for council's consideration is the newspaper advertisements, copies of the notices to be placed in the BC Gazette, and the elector response forms. So after the deadline, the corporate officer will determine and certify whether electoral approval has been obtained. The corporate officer reviews each submission that was received before the deadline and determines that the response form has been filled out correctly, and meaning that it must have a signature, the person's full name and residential address, and if applicable, the address of the property in relation to which the person is entitled to register as a non-resident property elector. So once the AAP process has been completed, administration will bring a report to council for a resolution, confirming that the elector approval has been received and that all relevant legislative requirements have been met, and confirming that the properties will be included in the boundary expansion. Once council passes this resolution, administration will then forward the certified resolution of council along with the results to the ministry. The ministry then prepares letters patent to implement the proposed boundary change, and if the corporate officer has certified that the electoral approval has been attained. As per section 12 of the Local Government Act, the Minister of Municipal Affairs will refer the municipal boundary request to the Lieutenant Governor. Final approval is done by the Executive Council or the Cabinet of the provincial government, and if received, the ministry will notify the town, the regional district, and other ministries and agencies such as BC Assessment and Land Titles that the municipal boundary extension has been approved. So options before council are: 1, that administration proceed with the alternative approval process of electors for an extension of the town of Vesuvius municipal boundary in order to annex the following properties: 4305 Highway 3 East and 3719 62nd Avenue into the town of Vesuvius, and that the provincial ministry memorandum of proposed boundary extension 62nd Avenue and Highway 3 East dated December 1st, 2022 be received, and that council hereby establish the elector response form to allow for multiple elector responses, and the deadline of receiving elector responses for submission to the Director of Corporate Services is to be 4 p.m. on Monday, February 27th, 2023, and that the determination of the total number of electors for the town of Vesuvius to which the approval process applies is 4,769. Option 2 is that council requests further changes be made to the elected response form and bring back the report to the next regular open meeting. Or option 3, that the boundary expansion be abandoned. So implications to the community is that community benefits from the additional properties added to the tax assessment. Organizationally, administration is in consultation with the Ministry of Municipal Affairs in annexing the properties to the town of Osoyoos. Budget, advertising costs for in the Times Chronicle and BC Gazette. Sustainability, community environmental sustainability is enhanced when municipal sewer and water services are available. And staff's recommendation is option number 1.
Thank you very much. I didn't see in here that you had the okay from the RDOS. Is that included in there or by missed it? It's in
Yeah,
there?
it's in there.
Okay, because it did come up at our last RDOS meeting with him and I.
277.
Okay, email, I emailed Mrs. Hilton right away, but that has been passed. Okay, so what's your favor, Councilor King?
I'll go option 1.
Thank you. We're not reading it again, it's too long. Anybody seconding that? Councilor John, thank you for seconding that.
Please have a question. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just clarity, if this moves forward in a positive way, they will be responsible for all the costs of cut water and sewer?
I'm gonna refer that to Director McCabe.
Thank you, Councillor King. Yes, through the chair, that is correct. We did discuss that at a previous council meeting, prior to installation of any servicing at that time. And they already agreed to submit the cost, all costs to us.
Great, thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
When this is, right now, it's ALR. When it comes into the town, it stays ALR, right?
That is correct. Thank you, Councillor Bennett.
Yeah, they can't go subdivide because they're in town.
No, in fact, that is basically, when we send these referrals, like way back, beginning of the process, to the ALC, etc. That is always a comment that we get back and we expect, and the RUS makes the same comment as well. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so option 1 has been moved and seconded. All in favor? Thank you very much. That's passed. Thank you. Now we're going on to Grant Evaluation Committee. And that's the Director of Corporate Services.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
At the regular open meeting of December 13th, council amended the community services grant policy finance 001 to change the deadline for community service grants to the second Friday in February. This change allows the organizations to plan and have grant funding available for their events and enables council to award the grants in March. In 2019, the previous council established the Community Services Grant Committee to make recommendations to council at the committee of the whole on grant recipients. The appointment of the committee was from 2019 to 2022. At the committee of whole meeting, council will review the recommendations from the grant committee and forward the recommendations to a regular open meeting for approval. If council would like to establish a grant committee similar to the one established in 2019, a council resolution would be required. Further, administration is suggesting that a grant evaluation committee would review submissions for other town funding opportunities for community groups and organizations such as the RMI initiative, visitor enhancement funding. Administratively speaking, the Director of Community Services would be the staff person advising council, but would not be part of the committee. So options before council is that the Grant Evaluation Committee terms of reference policy finance 011 be approved. 2, that the Grant Evaluation Committee terms of reference policy be referred back to administration for changes. 3, that council establishes a grant evaluation committee with as many council appointments as they wish to have on the committee. And 4, that council does not establish a grant evaluation committee and that all grant and aid and RMI visitor enhancement funding requests be reviewed at a committee of the whole meeting and then forwarded to a regular open meeting of council for approval. So implications to the community is allowing the committee of council to review applications and asking applicants for more details prior to going to council for their approval. Organizationally, none. Budget, none. Significant dates. We need to have a committee established prior to the grant and aid deadline of February 10th. And sustainability. Community groups and organizations in the community can fund current and future events that are for visitors and residents of the community. And just so council knows, the recommendation of administration is that grant evaluation committee terms of reference finance 0111 be approved, and that council appoints members of council to the grant evaluation committee. Administration did not put the number of committee members in this current policy because we wanted to have a discussion at this table, what is council's wish, and same with the term. Is it something that council wants to be established every year? Does council want to look at it every 2 years, or is council wanting to establish it for the term of council? So these are all discussions that we thought we'd have at this table. And then ultimately, we would make the committee for February 10th, and then we would end up bringing this policy back for an amendment after February, after the grant dates have been approved, to make some changes to this policy, as well as the community services policy.
Okay, so right now, you'd just like us to approve the terms of reference if we agree to it, and to decide how many council members.
Yeah, and we would like council's input on how many members of council they want and the term.
Sure. So for the last couple of years, it has been Mr. Davis plus Councillor Bennett and Councillor King that have looked at that. We can't just automatically assume that those two would be on the committee again, but they might want to be. And so therefore, it was decided that we might open it up, and if any member of council wanted to be on it, or all of us wanted to be on it, that would be perfectly all right as well. So is there anybody, first of all, do we have to decide something before we go through the evaluations? That the number one, the terms of reference. If it's okay the way it is. Are you okay with that, Councillor King?
Madam Mayor, yeah, with this policy, it could be changed in a year from now, or is it for the 4 years?
It could be changed. So what we're suggesting is that the input that we received today,
Yes.
we would bring back an amendment in probably the early spring, so March or April. We'll bring back a amendment to this policy, because what we're actually recommending eventually is that this policy be the overall policy for the RMI, for the grant and aid, and any other future funding opportunities that council may wish. If council had extra money at some point, that this committee would be the committee that would.
Doesn't this policy say that under the purpose there?
Yes.
It includes RMI?
Yes,
So why would we have to change it in a couple of months?
we're gonna have to establish the term of the term and the number of committee members.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I, sitting on the committee, it's kind of a tough committee, because you get all these grants come in, they're all good. And it's kind of like you're trying to decide what you want, or what council wants, or what you want in the room, and there's only 3 people. And Gerald doesn't really vote on it, so I think if you're gonna make it that much bigger, Jim might disagree with me, but I think you've also got RMI, and you get more funding and more funding. And you put it into one pot, instead of just trying to look at 50, you get 100,000, whatever down the road. Then that's pretty hard for 2 people to kind of come back. We come back to the recommendation, but in the end, it's council's decision, but you're doing the recommendation, right? And sometimes you don't see what's on the paper, and people can apply, and they might not have a budget with them, they might have this, so when we come back and recommend it, we might recommend gas minor hockey gets 20,000, but maybe they don't because they didn't submit that piece of paper. Council only knows that we recommended this and this and this. So I'm thinking we get bigger, I think bigger, I mean, that's just my view.
What do you think, Councillor King?
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think first of all, I'll move option 1, and then we can decide on the committee.
So option 1 has everything on it, it's right there.
Yes.
Yeah, and it just doesn't have the length of how many people are on the committee and the length of time that it's on. Yeah, but we can adjust that. So you're moving option 1. Is there somebody who wants to second that? Okay, thank you. You want us to vote on that first, or
Sure.
you, okay. And establishes with as many council bodies as it, we don't have to do that part first?
No.
Oh, the other one, okay,
It is.
all right. So, I'm a little confused about that too, because I thought they sort of went hand in hand, but never mind. So we've got option one has been moved and seconded that the evaluation committee terms of reference be approved. All in favor? Okay, so that's done. Now, we need to look at the, how many people would be on that. And I'm thinking that, first of all, is there anybody who would like to be on that committee? Because that's the way we could start, see how many. So, all right, so we have 3 people on
That's
there now. Zach, you
I'm
okay
okay
with
either
that?
way.
All right, well, I think really, when we think about it, a minimum of 3. And is it possible to, at one point, I can remember having, somebody over there at the Sonora Center say, who wants to come and have a look at all these grants and aid? And we never really knew how many members of council were gonna show up until they showed up. So is it possible to have, say, these 3 would be on there, and then if Councillor Poderica or I wanted to attend, we could? Does that preclude us from doing it?
No, you could attend, but then you wouldn't.
You wouldn't have a vote.
We wouldn't have a vote, we just have some input. I see, okay. Well, if we have 3 people that have volunteered already. Why don't we go with that? Is that okay? And
Yeah.
Zach and I can attend and give ideas if we feel like it. Is that okay with everybody?
Yep.
So could we, do you want this?
It'd be number 3, but you have to include 3 council members.
You include the 3
Yes,
people
it would
we
be-
got on there?
yes.
Okay. So it would be council establishes a grant evaluation committee with Councillor King, Councillor Bennett, and Councillor Chong on as members.
Question.
Yeah,
In the future, if we decide to amend that, let's say. One of you 2 would like to join the committee and have voting rights, could we amend that to add additional council members?
Yes, so it gives me an amendment to this policy.
and do you want it for 1 year then?
So that is a correct, so let's take a vote on this first,
Okay,
and then after that, we can discuss the term.
okay, all right. So it's been moved and seconded that the way it was read, 3 people are on it, all in favor. Good. All right, now we can also look at when we might want to, maybe we should do this for 1 year. And by that time, we may have something else adjusted to the wording of it or something, or not. What do you think?
Your worship, so one of the plans here is to speed things up. We're hoping that as we go through, the committee goes through the RMI and the community grant, is ask the nonprofits, what is the ideal time that a decision is made on the grants? We have heard from a couple entities that they would like to know prior to January 1st. So we're hoping as we go through this process, maybe we have to send a letter, maybe talk to, not sure, but do some consultation with these groups as to when is the ideal time. It likely is before January 1st, but I can't say that right now. So we're hoping to go through this process for the next 6 weeks, 2 months.
Okay,
Then once we know what the timing is like, then we can amend the terms of reference, to say, you know, what, maybe we gotta put some changes to the terms of reference, but right now, I guess my suggestion would be is that you go for maybe, like 6 months. Because if you do a year, you're gonna,
it's too late.
we're gonna bring this policy back before we make the big RMI community decisions for 2024. So I'm just thinking, I guess, maybe I'll ask the clerk, if you did a year, you can still adjust it in when we bring this committee.
Well, we would bring this committee back we would bring this committee back.
Before
for
the
the
end
fall.
of 2023.
Yes, but as far as if we're gonna be bringing back this policy.
Yes.
Likely in
March,
May.
yeah,
Or.
Yeah.
They can make changes then.
yes,
Because at least then you get a chance to actually feel it out.
Okay.
It's 3 good, should be 5. And so. If you do. A year, you can still do another motion to change the membership in April. So I guess you can do a year.
Or something.
Sorry. Do a year and you can adjust it in April or
Sure.
May after you've gone through a process, we're bringing this policy back in.
So there's quite a difference between the people that can apply for grant and aid and the people who can apply for RMI. So that's one of the things that cannot all be lumped together.
Correct,
So there are two separate, because some people can apply for one, but not the other, so.
So our suggestion would be that what would happen is with this policy, we would end up rescinding the financial 001 policy, which is the grant and aid, and it would become a schedule to this policy, so the newly created grant committee. And same with the grant, the RMI guidelines, they would become Schedule B to
Okay.
this. So they would be treated as two different funds and
yeah.
with two different criterias that this committee would review and establish their proposal to the regular open.
Right, and two different amounts of
Yes.
money too. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I guess my biggest concern is we have 3 of 5 council. So we're gonna sit down and we're gonna look at all these evaluations. Quarter this, and we're gonna come back, and then that's where kind of I feel is a waste of time. Then we come back and we redo it again with 5 of us. And 3 of us kind of all agreed already.
Because a council committee cannot approve expenditures of funds. That would have to go through a regular open meeting.
We have 3 of them, big recommendations.
I didn't realize that, but what happens when the recommendations come back, and we come back and sit in here, we spend another 2 hours, going through everything we just did a couple days before. Almost everything on one at a time.
So
To me,
hopefully
that's-
you guys have done a good job of
It was better.
I'm still reading them, go through everyone, everybody's round one at a time.
Well, we have to because,
3 hours.
yeah.
Next day you come back to council meeting and you redo that, so I'm just saying, there's a way to speed that process up. I don't know if there is, I'm just saying that.
You know,
The one thing that we did speed up this time, and it was a suggestion from the CAO, was previously the grant and aid, so the council committee would meet.
Yeah.
And then it would be referred to a committee of the whole, and then from the committee of the whole, it was sent to a regular. So we had bypassed going to the committee of the whole and bringing it straight to a regular open. So the committee would meet, then it would go to regular. So we're not gonna meet at committee of the whole.
We're not gonna read 3 times.
No.
Yeah, that's better.
They don't want to go through that.
Yeah.
well, the nice thing about it is that when you bring it back and explain it to
The
council,
rationale.
you will give the rationale for why you said we're only going to give this group a half of what they asked. It's for this reason, and you may have very good reasons, which you talked about, and I think that's fair to everybody who's online listening and wanting to understand, because then they won't be phoning you and saying, why did you do this? I asked for this amount and you couldn't, so we need to have it explained at an open
But
meeting.
we do, that's twice, not 3.
Yeah, no,
I
that's
understand.
good. You okay, Councilor
I'm
King?
fine. I'm fine. I just want clarity. Now that we've passed the terms of reference, does this give Director Davis the latitude to call the committee together for RMI? Because
Yes,
there's a whole bunch of people waiting to see. if
Yeah.
they get RMI.
that's true, so you want that done pretty quickly,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yes or no?
So that's okay, you've got everything you need from this?
I need a motion passed for the year. Yeah, passed it.
That's not too bad, a committee agreement. That's smart, then.
If you go to another meeting.
Oh, it is okay, it's only half a block for the.
Yeah, you can run up
You can
there.
have a clock, but you don't forget it's 2 hours.
Yeah. Okay,
And did
so
you
are
need a
we-
motion for that?
so we're all done with that one? Okay, thank you.
Committees last for a year. What do you need?
Yeah, so the committee, so what's gonna come back is this policy will be brought back in the spring. And the recommendation with the number of council members would be put in, as well as the term, which would be reviewed annually.
Okay. All right, so we'll move on to the general net payroll and Sun Bowl Arena financial accounts. And this is the expenditures table and payroll information to receive for information is the recommendation. To report on expenditures from accounts payable and payroll information for council to receive, and general cash requirements as of January the 10th are for $691,828.68. Sun Bowl cash requirements of $13,151.30. And that payroll account to $258,699.17. So could I have a motion, please, for, I would recommend option 1. To receive those for information purposes. Thank you. Councillor Federica, Councillor Chong. All in favor? Thank you. All right. And next is the building permits, and as you can see, there's a swimming pool. Wow, that'll be fun at this time of year. Some secondary suites and some other fireproofing and interior alteration for 3 units. So all of those are things that can be done now. Total for the month of December was $997,000. And total for the year was $31,301,000 compared to 2021 was $30,563,000. So it's pretty close. Yes.
Just get clarity there from Ms. Davis or
James.
sorry, Ms. Davis, getting married now. For interior alterations, $750,000. Would that be a typo by chance?
I don't have it in front of me, but I would suppose so, yeah.
It just seems like. a little-
Yeah, it's
Is that what it
17.
It says 750,000, so
Yeah,
must be a
it's
new one.
not. Did you say it says 3.4 million?
Yes, it's $750,000.
for interior alterations,
It's
Alterations.
probably 75,000.
that's what I would think. There's one down there that says 60,000 for some interior.
So that
alterations.
makes quite a difference to the bottom line then.
For this year,
Yeah.
it's-
but not for last year.
I saw 700,000.
Yeah, the pretty small house.
This is.
Yeah.
Is it? You've already looked at
Look at
it.
everything.
It's fine,
But
but
it's not an inch, so it's the wrong designation. Instead of interior alterations, it's a brand new house.
No, it's looks like interior alterations.
Oh, interior
It
alterations.
should be
program.
75 instead of 70.
yeah, thank you, Councillor King. It is an error. I was really hoping you'd focus on that number from last year versus the year before, but.
Comes out of both.
So
Well,
how
we
do
might
we
check
do
it
with
and say-
this? If there's something needs to be done, we will send it back for, because it isn't 750,000 there, right?
Amendment's gonna be made to this.
Amendment to that.
Well, council could, you don't have to accept it and we could bring it back.
That's right.
On the
Okay.
24th of council.
Yeah.
All right, let's not accept it then.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
Thank you.
Or we're sure.
Thank you, corporate officer. Also.
Pretty close.
all right, so next on the agenda then is the revenue anticipation borrowing bylaw. And it's there on page 87, and so all we need to do is have a motion to adopt this. That's what we're looking for today. Is that correct? That's correct, Mr. Zackel?
That is correct. So this bylaw is utilized to have the town's line of credit set up with their financial institution, as well as gives us the ability for the borrowing on the corporate credit cards. Just as to make council aware, over the last 20 years, we haven't had to utilize the line of credit during that period of time. It's more of a formality than anything else so far. We've been fortunate.
It's never been used. So it was read a first, second, and third time on December the 13th, 2022. So is there somebody who would like to move the adoption of this report? Thank you. Councillor Chong, Councillor Bennett, all in favor. Thank you very much. And I'll go back to me. We will go back to the CAO's report.
Thank you, your worship. This is an opportunity to bring yourselves and the public up to speed on some of the things that may impact them. On a positive side, we're on schedule for the chiller at Trumbull Arena. Council expedited a few things within the budget process, and that enabled us to move forward with an RFP, and so we're anticipating that everything's gonna be there. So we can do replace the chiller during the month of May. So we're keeping our fingers crossed, but I want to thank council for expediting that process so that a chance at meeting deadlines. Definitely there's issues with the supply chain. But hopefully we're hearing it's good things. There's a under U15 rep tournament, January 20th, 22nd. So anybody that wants to go see some good hockey, I encourage you to go down the Sun Bowl. We have winter breakup camp, December 19th, 23rd, and it was well attended, 16 children. And winter programs are started January 9th. There's 2 new drop-in programs, Walk Fit and Ping Pong, so and we're always looking for additional ideas, so if there's people out there that want new programs, and that our ears are always open and trying to expand our availability of programs. We've got some accomplishments of staff. I would like to bring those up as well. Ms. Shasky received a certificate in the Foundation's Local Government Learning Services. So kudos there. Just a reminder to everyone, dog license renewals. People should get their license for their pet before the end of the month to receive a discount. Got a couple things happening in the fire department. There's some fire trucks. You know, there's been a lot of issues with delays. We're hearing hire to get a fire truck now. You're talking sometimes in excess of 2 years. But both our water tender 191 and brush 191 are very close to being delivered. We're hoping maybe even one might be here today. So now to the next 2 weeks, one of them should be arriving, and the other we have to do a final inspection. So we're hoping that's all working good, and maybe by actually the end of the month we may have it. So there's some good news there. Some other educational accomplishments within the fire departments. We've got 4 people that received their NFPA Firefighter 2 certifications, a firefighter Gill, Oren, Sickstrom, and Wilchinski. So congrats to those 4 folks. I think the fire department's doing a great job in bringing up their education, both their number of members and their certifications. They've been working really hard on that, and so I know it's a lot of work. So congrats to those folks. Within other things current in development, business licenses were mailed, and 533 licenses were renewals were mailed. We're hoping busy, but make payments by February 15th. That's a reminder for folks. A lot of new businesses opened up, so I'm just gonna go through them quickly here. Cut Above Woodworks, on One Sky Community Services, Matrix Helicopter Solutions Inc., 3G Works, Bed and Breakfast, Dreamline Construction, The Beast Barbecue and Smoke Shack, that's the arena concession. Casita Del Lago Bed and Breakfast, Darrow Innovations, Dust Cleaners. Also got another food truck coming on play. Couple change of ownerships, H&R Block and Sue's Vietnamese Cuisine. Mester's Market changed their name. I think most people are aware of that one. And another business of Cut Above Woodworks. Another thing that's going on, unfortunately, we received some disappointing news within our public works area. Received a resignation of the utility superintendent. It's going to be a big goal, a very knowledgeable individual. We definitely wish him well in his future endeavors. He's with us for another month, so we're going to steal as much of this great matter as possible over the next few weeks. Legion Beach Washroom, I know this has been a hot topic for a while. We are hearing, hopefully within the next couple of weeks, there've been electrical issues there. Not as far as completion, it's nothing that was designed on, but it's finishing up work. So we are being told within the next couple of weeks. But I know we kind of said that before. And it's
It is what it is.
yeah, I just want people to know that it isn't our staff that are causing this, but just shows that the supply chains and the demands on trying to get journeyman workers to do things is just extremely high. And I know it's frustrating for the residents and our visitors, but we're in the same boat as every other municipality in business. Just you can't get some of this material, or you can't get it installed. So it's unfortunate, but we're getting close. And
That's
that's my report.
Thank you very much. Tourism. Okay, so we'll go on to, we need to have the CAO's report received for information, please. Councillor King, Councillor Foderico. Thank you. Well, we'll go on to Councillor reports. Councillor Foderico. You know, tell us about your trip and the problems.
Not much to it, and then, Director King actually attended, we just met with the Super Park, Development, Society members, and that's all it's done. Been back.
He had quite the trip going to try and get down too, spend his money in that. Managed. Good. Thank you, Councillor Bennett.
That was reported this.
Right. Councillor Chong.
Nothing to report.
All right, Councillor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I guess I just wish everybody a happy new year. It's been an interesting winter with all the snow. Hopefully it's all gone now and we can move forward into the spring.
Thank you. So I have a couple of things. I've been at a regional district meeting last week, and I thought it was interesting. I was just going to tell you a little bit about mosquito control. And there was a report done on that. Now, the mosquito control is one of the 156 services that is provided by the regional district. And actually, Jim Zapino, who's the finance guru up there, is going to come down actually and present the Osoyoos part to us. And there will be lots of time to ask them questions. But and he has agreed to do that already. And I think Mrs. Silver's got it set up. But the mosquito control is, was quite an interesting presentation. It's only done in rural areas. It is not done within the town of Oliver, Osoyoos, Penticton, or Summerland. But it was interesting because they showed how they do it. And they use bacterium soil larva pellets, BTI pellets they're called. No spray and no fog use, and it's done through a helicopter. So they don't use that, they put the pellets down and they use the helicopters because there's a longer season to doing this. And it was quite fascinating to see the pictures because what happens is the larva, the mosquito larvae, eat these pellets, which disintegrate and they're not poisonous to humans. And they then die, which is kind of what we want. Well, we want this because otherwise we would have them everywhere. And they actually showed a scoop of water from one of the lakes. And if they have any more than 3 mosquitoes or larvae in there, then they do a treatment. This one that he showed us probably had 10,000. So, you know, it's a necessary thing, but it's not, and of course it's done in the area surrounding the town. So, you know, you would know about it. But I just thought it was quite kind of interesting. And certainly the presentation was most interesting on that. I attended the Desert Dip, which was on January the 1st. Down at Gyro Park. It was quite interesting. I did not swim, but there were about 50 people who went in. Fortunately, it was not windy because it would have been nasty. But Nathan Andres, with some special saw, came down and he cut a big hole in the ice. And what was really interesting was that everybody that wanted to go in, they had to sign up for it. They went down one of those, you know, the little ramp things, yes, those mats that we have, and they went down there and they went in 1 or 2 at a time. So, and Ron Hiller had his camera there, plus he had his drone, and he was up above taking pictures of all of these people. There was about 50 of them that went in and out. It was really quite interesting and really well organized. Ken Baker and Marcel St. Louis went down there and set up the tent and set up the tables and had people, you know, asking, could they sign up? And of course they did. Some of them said, not because I was there, they said, oh, can we just go into the washrooms to change? And I said, I'm sorry. The washrooms are not open and that's a difficult problem. However, we certainly have been looking at this, but we understand that the reasons for not having them open. However, it was a really fun kind of an event because everybody was quite happy. Some people even went in twice. And then some people went to the Owl after for lunch, so that was even better. That's where I was. So, and I was in at the art gallery the other day, the one next door here. Because they'd invited me to come and present a check to the person, the artist in town who won a contest. And what they're doing is taking a picture of the winning. And I think it was oil and acrylics. It's beautiful. And they're putting it on a big poster. And I have to go back this Saturday because they're having the posters made with Vesuvius 2023 on it. And this picture by Pam Duncan, a local artist. And they sell those. They sell them, I think they have 100 of them made and they sell them. And the winner, there was a first, second, third, and 2 honorable mentions. And all of those pictures, and there's not just pictures, there's pottery and there is quilting. And they're all in the art gallery and it's open until the 28th of January. Well worth seeing because a lot of people who've lived here for a long time, their names are on the pictures. And many of them are for sale too. So it was kind of fun. And Pam Duncan was the winner and she was quite excited and she got $500, so that's even better. And we do have a meeting with the new Minister of Municipal Affairs coming up. Council will be meeting with her and her team next week. And that's kind of nice because we had been in to visit the members or the working group of municipal affairs the last time they were at UBCM. So we're looking forward to meeting with Ms. Kang, Minister Kang and her staff next week. So that's it. And this morning I had to leave the Cal meeting just before 10 because I had to attend the Okanagan Basin Water Board first meeting, and that was fortunate that I did because I'm now the chair again, and I had to get out of that meeting for over 2.5 hours. So that's a very good thing for us to belong to, and it's a very good committee for us all to be on. So thank you very much for that, and we will now go to the in-camera section of our meeting, and that pursuant to section 91 of the community charter, a part of the council meeting may be closed to the public if the subject matter being considered relates to or is in one or more of the following. Section 91G, litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality. 91K, negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service that are at their preliminary stages, and that in the view of the council could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality if they were held in public. So could I have a motion, please, to move in camera? Councillor King, Councillor Chong, all in favor. Thank you very much.